Welcome to The Connection Code, a podcast where we explore the relationships that make your life and work just a little bit better.
Hi, I'm Jeana Anderson Cohen. I'm the founder of a business that tricks adults into making friends through fitness called A Sweat Life. And I've also been working on a social gathering and event space in New Buffalo, Michigan with my husband called Petite Acres. I love friendship and gathering.
Hi, I'm Rachel Gilman-Rischel. I run a PR firm called 3PR, focused on healthy food clients because eating is a love language in my life. And I'm also obsessed with introducing people that I believe should know each other.
So today I brought the big question, which I'm very excited about because it is not just a big question. I actually brought a grab bag of questions. You may be listening to this, friend, in February, but Rachel and I are recording this on January 2nd. So I wanted us to do sort of a connection. Let's call it an assessment, a whatever we want to call it. It's a grab bag today. Rachel, are you ready?
I am so ready. I love a game.
Okay, so, well, you can call it a game. Why not?
A question game.
A question. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. My first question is, and you can toss it right back to me too. But what is the season of connection you're in, if you were to define it?
I love this question. And I actually have a real answer for you because I don't know if you remember a couple episodes ago, I came up with my 2026 challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You do?
I do remember, but tell me again.
Okay. So for the past 2 years, I've been doing these intro challenges where I write down every introduction that I make, a consensual intro where both people have agreed to it, and then I keep it in a list. And so that's great. That will continue on. It feels good. But I thought about what I could do to be more deliberate about connections within my own life, less about bringing strangers or people together and more how am I sustaining the people that matter to me? And so I decided in 2026, every single day, I have to either call or text or could email, just not DMs. That feels like too low lift.
Yeah.
I have to reach out to somebody in my life and just say, I'm thinking of you, or how are you, or I'd love to catch up, or you've been on my mind. The idea is to just be proactive every single day of 2026 in connecting with somebody, whether we've been out of touch for ages or I saw them last week. So we are on day 2, but I started the list in my phone.
Yeah.
I've made 2 outreaches. And because I'm just compulsive enough to love a task and documentation, I think I'm going to do this for the whole year.
Of course you'll do it for the whole year. Of course you will. Are you allowed repeats?
You brought this up last time because you were so smart. At first, I was thinking so grandiose. I was like, oh, I can do a whole year. There will be repeats. I feel 365 unique people would be hard. But but I think part of what I'm going to try to do is not just lean on the inner circle and the easy people to check in with. I want to use this exercise as a reason to think, who have I lost contact with? Or who is somebody that might not expect to hear from me? And this might be a little way to engage in conversation. Okay, so Jeana, sort of, what is, go ahead.
Oh, I was just, so, like a therapy technique, just reading it back to you. It's sort of like, to define it, you're nurturing your own relationships, whereas your other challenge was very much about nurturing other people's relationships. Is that?
Yes. I want to drop a piece of wisdom on you that, well, actually, there are 2 things I've heard in the past 2 days that really stopped me in my tracks with relationships. So we're both obsessed with Danielle Robay. We love her Question Everything podcast. And she does this really amazing year-end episode where she reflects on her year past, what's to come. And then she has this companion exercise you can do, a PDF to reflect and look forward. It's amazing. But she talked about having the kind of people in your life that, yes, digital friends are great. It's great if you have a lot of contacts, but who would take you to the airport? And if you had a cat, who would feed your cat if you were out of town? Like, who are the friends that will do the inconvenient things because they love you? And are those relationships getting enough nourishment? So that was part number 1. Then today I had coffee with my friend Ryan, who you were very nice to and helped out. And he said something that was shared with him. And it was a person providing advice. And they said, I am not going to put any energy into a relationship in 2026 if that person would not come to my funeral.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. It was such an unexpected twist at the end of that sentence. And I stopped and I
Interesting.
said, I really have to think about that, because you're essentially saying, I will not expend energy or lean into a
Mm-hmm.
relationship or align with somebody if they
Mm-hmm.
aren't the kind of person who feels connected enough to me or is a good enough person that they would show up at the end of my life and honor me. It was a really, really staggering moment. And I'm like, I am going to sit with this. And I think there's something to it.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. Those are, I mean, honestly, put it on the page of your very own Rachel Soup for the Soul. You know? I would rip it
Yes.
out and put it on a bulletin board.
Yes. And I do believe, Jeana, you would feed my invisible cat. You would take me to the
Yes.
airport. You would come to my
Yes.
funeral. And not every
Absolutely.
relationship has to be at that sort of like, if you have like a Maslow's hierarchy of relationships, not
Mhm.
everybody is the tippy top. But I like this idea of having spent the past couple of years working on disparate, removed relationships a little
Yeah.
bit more, like playing outside in the network, being
Mhm.
like, oh, maybe in 2026, I need to bring it inside the tent a little bit more and make sure my core relationships are thriving.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Dunbar's numbers, put them together. And we
I knew
really
you what
have,
I was talking about.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
tiers of friends. I love it. Okay, so my season of Friends is, I feel like I've said this before, but I want to reiterate it kind of for myself, that I'm in a season of following, like joining other people's clubs. you know,
Yes.
I I like that for me because I think like I've done a lot of the organizing for sort of the duration of a sweat life, because it was not only my job but also like my source of friends. And there's a different dynamic. We've talked about this before, but there's a different dynamic when you are the host. And so like constantly being the host, I didn't really get to be and like that's a job I happily took and gave to myself. So let's be like, this is not poor me. I would just like a different role moving forward. Um,
I have to do a therapist moment for you.
do it.
Is it uncomfortable for you to not be the host? And how hard are you having to try to sit back as the guest?
Let me tell you, it's not as hard as I thought it'd be, because I have like hopped onto groups and like joined clubs. And so if I for example, like I got added to this text chain out in like the Southwest Michigan region, and they'll like organize an activity, and the implicit thing is that everybody on the text chain is invited. And so
Mm.
like I'll show up to things and it's lovely. It's lovely. And so like I'm also a member of a club, the Rotary Club of St. Joseph. and um and what's interesting is I have no desire to have any sort of official role in that club other than member. So it hasn't been uncomfortable yet. That said, I think if I were to get to the point, or when I get to the point when it's like dinner party time, like that's when I'm going to be like, okay, it's time for me to really lead something here, because there are specific things I like in a gathering that maybe other people don't care about. And so like I need to, that's the part where like I end up just doing it because I want to do it myself. And you can't say to a host like, "Hey, did you think about like an activity?" or like or like, is there like a designated start and end time or anything that really gives it a closing? What's the purpose of this dinner? Have you thought about that? Like that's not okay for me.
No, maybe you just buy a stack of Priya
Yeah,
Parker's The Art of Gathering, and that's always your
just give
host
it out.
gift. So people have it
Yeah,
for the future.
yeah.
But I like this challenge for you
Hmm.
because I'm going to say just in air quotes, just being a guest is
Yeah,
a departure and it
yeah.
lets you participate in a different way.
Yeah, and I know that once Petite Acres opens, like I'm gonna be hosting things.
Yes.
So it's it's a nice little downtime for now.
I
A
like
sleepy little
this.
winter, if we were to think of life in seasons. All right, Rachel, my next question for us is squarely in the territory of networking and professional connections. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
let's talk about following up. What is your style? Do you have any guidance or advice for following up? I feel like we've never talked about following up as
We
like a
haven't?
we've talked about it. We haven't talked about like our steadfast rules. Like, when do you give up? How long do you wait?
Mm. Okay. I feel like I've said this at some point, but I don't know where it was. I have a couple rules. I will
Yeah.
share them with you. And
Okay.
to contextualize, being that I work in PR and I email for a living and I'm
Yep.
constantly emailing people I don't know, where the dynamic is lopsided. I want
Mm-hmm.
something from them. They
Mm-hmm.
don't really need something from me. You're always kind of starting on your back foot. When you look back, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, why did I choose this for myself? But I really do love PR. And the best kind of thing
Yeah.
is when you're storytelling or you can offer
Yeah.
something great. But I'm very cognizant of, I'm putting something out into somebody's inbox, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very unlikely that I'm going to get a reply the first time. So, rule number one is the magic is in the follow up. I truly believe many, many times people just don't see a first email and it's
Yeah.
not meant to be taken personally. Or they saw the email, they were busy, they got distracted, the email moved down the inbox, lost track of it then. There are probably infinite reasons why a first email goes unresponded to.
Mm-hmm.
And one possible reason is they're not interested at that moment. So
Mm-hmm.
I always think you need to follow up. And there's so many examples I have of when I followed up and then something incredible happened. So
Yeah.
one being, years ago, I had a client that I really wanted to get on Oprah's favorite things. And I had sent a cold email to Oprah's creative
The dream,
director.
right?
Yes, yes. And he didn't write back, which of course he didn't. Like, who was I showing up in his inbox?
Yeah.
But I wrote back one more time and luck was on my side. I caught him on a spring Friday. He wrote me back. We started a correspondence. And 15 months later, my client was an Oprah's favorite thing.
Was
So
it Tavala?
it was Tovala. Yes.
Mm.
Thank you, Gail King.
Yeah. Thank you, Gil King.
But if I had thought, oh, Adam Glassman being Oprah's creative director, if Adam ignored my first email and I took that personally and thought it meant I should just walk away,
Yeah.
nothing would have happened. But because I went back, the magic occurred. The second
Mm-hmm.
thing is, and it's tricky, but there is like a bit of art and science to when you follow up. Too soon, overly aggressive and annoying. Too
Mm-hmm.
long, who are you again? So I think unless it's urgent, let it breathe a little bit. I mean, at least 3 days, and that's
Yeah.
more of a compressed time period if something's a bit timely. I
Mm-hmm.
like to think like a week or two, especially if it's not like you're reaching out with something that has to transpire. It's more like, I'd love to connect at some point,
Yeah.
or a softer introduction to somebody. So definitely follow up, let it breathe for a minute before you go back. And then the last thing I would say, and I feel really strongly about this, is that you do not want a long follow up note and you don't want to say the same thing twice. So don't
Correct.
just paste the same thing.
Yeah.
Have some self deprecation, acknowledge that you've already reached out. It's like, hey, so sorry to bother you. Hope you don't mind a second note. Just wanted to pop back in. Like, just acknowledge that you are re emailing
Mm-hmm.
and maybe have something slightly new to say, another reason for them to give you a
Yeah.
glance. I mean, for me, when I'm offering up clients, I try to find a different angle or something that's timely, or I even compliment something that the writer has recently published to show I'm paying attention. But the idea
Yeah.
is you are not sending the exact same email twice. And I keep it in the same thread. So, like, you can reply again.
Mm.
So it shows a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of that history.
Mm-hmm.
And all those things, I think, increase your odds of getting some communication back. And then the last thing I would say, and I know this is getting long, but this is
No,
why
it's
I
not.
always say reach out to people when you don't need anything and reach out on a gracious note. So I try to send compliments out into the world. Love this article. Saw you were quoted here. That was a great interview. I'm a big fan of this thing. Whatever it is, I just put it out as I'm feeling it. The person
Mm.
usually writes back because who ignores a compliment? And
Right.
then when I do need to email them, I can go back into a thread that started with graciousness and positivity and a compliment. And then they are so much more prone to respond because they saw that I initially showed up in their world, not asking, not needing, just giving. And so
Yeah.
all of these things come together, I think, for better email protocol.
I love.
And that is my TED Talk.
I love that. I will add my steadfast rule. Well, first of all, do you use tech in any way to remind you to follow up, or do you have spreadsheets? for
Excellent
ongoing
question,
outreach.
Jeana. For sure, you have a spreadsheet. What I like to do is that Google email feature where you can set a little timer reminder.
Hmm.
So I'll BCC myself and then I'll set the timer, and maybe it's a week or 10 days, and then it'll come back in my inbox.
Honestly, that's a wonderful solution. That's a wonderful
Because I don't want
solution.
to go out to a
Yeah,
spreadsheet. If I'm in the email,
right.
I want to stay in the email, and I just want to be gently reminded, like a little nudge.
Yeah, here's the nudge. I love that. Okay, so my outreach is interesting because right now I'm doing a lot of sales for Petite
Yes.
Acres. So I'm interacting with a lot of people who want to do weddings or who want to do retreats or et cetera, group things at Petite Acres. And so oftentimes they will reach out, they'll do it's inbound in one way, shape, or form, and then I'll provide them information. I have to make the same assumption as you. If I don't hear back right away, they got busy. Something came up. Their inbox is crazy. Like I look at my own inbox and I have to have empathy for the people.
Yes.
And so, but my steadfast rule on follow-up is for me always have something new to offer. Which I think is very similar to what you were saying. So for us, because we're building, I can usually like point to a recent post on Instagram or point to a new TikTok we've posted or something that gives them like context about the project coming along, so that we can make it a little bit more of a reality. But that for me is a nice way to sort of be like, instead of you using the sentence just checking in, which I hate.
Yes.
If I'm
Just
typing
following up.
just
Don't need to
following up,
say it. Don't say
don't
it.
need to say it. Don't say it. If that's your sentence, don't write the email. Like find something else. And that's the end of my TED Talk.
I'm with you. And it's so funny because we are in similar yet different
Yes.
places of how we're navigating emails. But I think this is a really powerful question. And I would also, if anybody reached out to us, I would love to hear their thoughts on it because tone is so important. And over
Oh
email,
yeah.
there's no ability to obviously have your voice be involved, but you want to try to capture some humanity and not sound like a robot.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could send a voice email.
I know. Oh, that would be great.
Not everybody would like it though. Okay. Are you ready? I doubled up on professional networking questions.
Okay. You know, I love this
Next,
topic.
I know. Well, I want to know what you personally, and I'm happy to go first too, but I want to know what you personally have gotten wrong about networking and what have you done differently since then? Let me know if you want time to think because I can go first.
Why don't you go first and I'm going to
Okay.
build on what you say?
Okay. So I remember when I got out of college, similar to you, I had been coached on networking and I think also given a book, the what is it? The Dale Carnegie book.
Oh, how to
Uh
make friends
and
and
influence
influence
people. Yeah.
people?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And I remember being like, I don't love this title, but I feel like some of this works. and so there was a mix of things going on. Like the guidance I had been given was like build your network before you need it, which we live by today. Um, Great, wonderful rule. And then the other piece of guidance that I had gotten when networking for a job was every single informational interview or networking coffee or meeting you have, do not walk away without them telling you someone else you should talk to,
Mm,
which is great advice if done correctly. But I remember I wanted so badly to break into advertising, and I was having a coffee with a gentleman who was lovely. He took the time. It was an informational interview. He had gone to Wisconsin. I went to Wisconsin. I had actually gotten his name from someone else who went on. She works in like, I want to say she works in PE, but does like a lot of investments into fitness now. Anyway, back then I met with her. She was lovely. She gave me like 4 different names. He was one of them. And at the end of our coffee, I should have been able to realize like we probably weren't personality matches. Like I was a 22-year-old, like sitting down for a coffee with him. He didn't have a lot to like offer me. I didn't have a lot to offer him. He answered my questions about working in advertising to the best of his ability. And I literally looked him in the eye at the end of this coffee meeting and I said, like, is there anyone else that you think I should talk to? And I just waited. This uncomfortable silence while
Oh,
he thought about it. And as he didn't come up with anyone, I was like, you can just send them to me via email. And it was just very
oh,
aggressive, incredibly aggressive, and not the way I would do it now. Because it's also like forcing it. It way networking can't be aggressive if you want it. I mean, like it can be aggressive, but it's not my style. So I think I've learned a lot since then, and so I do not force anyone to give me their Rolodex these days.
I feel it acutely because it is
Yeah.
hard to be a new post-college professional and there's
Yeah.
like it's like all of a sudden you're playing this game and no one's
Yeah.
really given you the rules and you only have a vague sense of how to play it. And so
Right.
invariably you do stupid, embarrassing
Of
things.
course.
Oh, God, you're taking me back to some moments.
I know.
What did I
Wait,
do
like
wrong with networking? What did I
cringe.
not? I mean, even though my dad coached me so early on to close the loop, there's
Mhm.
plenty of times I didn't. And even to go back to Ryan, I mentioned earlier, he was talking about relationships as bank deposits, or
Mm.
sorry, bank accounts rather. So, like,
Interesting.
yes. And I said this to my sister many years ago too. So I feel like the analogy holds, which is that
Yeah.
between two people, once you have a relationship, it's like a shared bank account and
Mhm.
you make withdrawals and you make deposits. But for a relationship to really flourish, both people have to make deposits and not just one person can make withdrawals. And you certainly don't want to start a relationship with a withdrawal. It's not like,
Right.
oh, here's our shared account and can I get something from you? I am certain that I have done this over the years where a new contact was established and then I immediately wanted to make a withdrawal. And then I also think that I've probably overcorrected and tried
Mhm.
so hard to be the person that was like giving, giving, giving,
Yeah.
thinking that was my value to offer.
Mhm.
Karmically, I should. I'm more senior in my career, just give back. And it
Right.
also doesn't feel good to always feel like the bank that's open and people
Mhm.
are taking, taking, taking. So
Yeah.
I think to find this sort of ephemeral balance in networking is to recognize that there's going to be some give and take, and there should be.
Mhm.
But my master learning is that relationships are long. And I am so
Mhm.
amazed that people I knew 20 plus years ago when I was getting started are still in my orbit. And so to treat people respectfully, to stay on good terms, to keep
Mhm.
connections active, to be somebody that you're proud of, to ensure that you don't burn any bridges. All of these things are critical because you truly never know where people will land, how they'll come back
Yeah.
into your world. I mean, even instances where you look at school pickup and you realize one of the parents is somebody you went to college with. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all of these moments where you realize you need to operate well and with
Mhm.
integrity so that you don't have a cringe moment.
Yeah. Some bridges you gotta burn though.
Okay. Yes. Okay. This is an interesting question though.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm with you
Yeah.
100%. Professionally,
Professionally,
do you torch the bridge or do you just walk away from it?
you do your best to walk away. But when there are occasions when the bridge is very flammable and there's not much you could do not to burn it. There was a job I left early, like an early agency job. I think I've talked about this before, but it was just very upsetting that I was following a VP to a new company. So it was almost as if in my last 2 weeks at that company, I was being like poked into
Oh.
into reacting. Um I made it to the last day before I was like, "You know what? I would never come back."
Oh,
But other than
you know
that,
what you're making me think of? When
tell me.
I was probably 24 and I was leaving this big global PR agency to
Mhm.
go work for a big global ad agency.
Yeah.
And what do you need at
Life or
24?
death.
You're trying to chase a title and a
Right.
few $1,000s more a year.
Mhm.
Um, and I felt like that was my next move. And I
Right.
had to sit down with my senior boss and then the head of the practice, and they were trying to get me to stay, which was really flattering.
Right.
But when I wasn't budging because I had committed to the new job, I wanted the new
Right.
job, they told me I was making a huge mistake,
They do that
which
shit
was
when you're
haunting.
junior. When you're junior in your career, people do insane things to you when you leave a job. Like my manager at that job sat me down in an office and asked me if I was interviewing. I noticed that you blocked your calendar. Are you interviewing? And I
Ooh.
had been interviewing, but also like I had been getting my job done. So none of your business, really? Like also
Wow.
it just felt very, I don't know. People do crazy things to you when you're junior in your career because I think they can get away with it.
Yes, and it was also just so unfortunate because instead
Yeah.
of them leaving and feeling like goodwill, good luck, like
Yeah.
go embark on another chapter and see what happens, it was like a sore loser sort of petty, like, you probably shouldn't take
Yeah.
this next step.
Yeah. If you ever want, like, if you can't walk away from a quit with both of you saying, like, if you ever want to come back, or I'd love to come back one day, the bridge is flammable. It's not your
Like, can
fault.
you imagine breaking up with somebody or like somebody's like, I think I want to date other people. And the person's
You're
like, you're
making a
never going to
huge
find
mistake.
anybody else. Like, that doesn't make you want to stay.
You'll never love. Like, come on. Of course
You
I'll
know what?
love.
It wasn't my dream job, but again, it served a next purpose. I took new
Right.
great people with me. And that's what you
Right.
do when you're young. You have to do building blocks of a career.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Everything teaches you something. Are
Yes.
you ready for my fourth and final question in our grab bag of questions?
Yes.
Okay. What are some rituals that keep you connected to other people, or some rituals that you want to add to keep us connected?
Me and you?
Hmm.
Ooh. I somehow missed this question on the document. I like peered it out ahead of time.
Yeah,
Gina, I love a good ritual. Okay.
I know.
Current rituals, these all feel pretty basic in the sense that most people probably do them, but they serve a
Hmm.
purpose. So there's the very active family text chain.
Yeah.
There's the Instagram group of college girlfriends where it's just sending ridiculous memes and videos back and forth.
Hmm.
Um, girls' trips, I think, are really pivotal. I try to
Yeah.
have one with my high school girlfriends. I try to have one with college girlfriends. I always have one with my sister. I think going away somewhere and leaving your everyday life, you can
Hmm.
jam so much connection and bonding into a couple days if you just leave your regular everyday environment. Maybe we need to, now I'm thinking for us, maybe we need a retreat.
We should go on a trip.
We should go on a
I love
trip.
it.
That's the
I'm
takeaway.
Yeah, I commit to that. Let's go on a trip. That's all I need.
Okay.
I love our ongoing text chain where we share
Yes.
things back and forth. I also think one of the things we've talked about before is your family had a great like Friday night ritual that's really stuck with me. You growing up,
Oh,
um,
Shabbat.
yeah,
Yes.
you'd have Shabbat, and then friends would come over, or you'd go out afterwards. And then I read after you told me about that soon thereafter, I read an article, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal, and maybe I sent it to you, that families with specifically Friday night rituals have children who feel more secure and
Oh,
confident.
damn it. I need to do this.
Well, you could add it. It's easy. Um, but isn't that lovely that your parents did that for you?
It was really lovely and grounding. And I think kids especially love a ritual or tradition, something they can point to that always happens. And that's a good reminder to me to set them in motion more.
Mm.
But tell me about what are the things you do to stay connected?
So right now I have a couple of like weekly things. I join some clubs. Like I go to Rotary Club on Monday. I love it. I also, because the nature of my work is changing a little bit and I'm doing more on the weekends, I try to have like an easier relationshipy Monday. So I go to that coffee on Monday with some local ladies who are lovely. I go to Rotary Club and I have this block on my calendar. Um, until like 2 p.m. So nothing can get booked and I can make sure that those relationship moments happen. So that's lovely for me. And then I think what I want to add is I want to add a list of like 25 people to check in on. Like making
Ooh.
sure like I'm popping into people's life because I have the tendency to disappear. Not like disappear, but like I'll think of someone and like pop into their life and then, like float around doing my thing and then think of someone and pop back in. I need more consistency, I think, to my communication pattern. So that's one thing I'd like to add in.
So say it is 25. Are these the
Yeah.
relationships that you want to really strengthen and ensure you're giving attention to,
Yes.
and maybe not do so much bouncing?
Yeah, I would say if we
Okay.
were to go full circle,
Yeah.
I'm doing your same challenge. Just
But
different.
you're keeping it contained. Like instead of
Yes.
mm,
Yeah. If I were to do it, if we were to say, like one of Dunbar's numbers, it would be my circle of 25.
oh, remember we talked about the idea of friendship as bathtub, jacuzzi, pool?
It's my pool of
I
friends.
think I think it's your pool friends.
Yeah, it's my pool of friends.
Okay.
But again, obviously we want the jacuzzi to be supported as well. Okay,
Yes.
Rachel, are you ready for show and tell?
Yes. What did you bring this week?
Okay, so I brought a multi-parter. So in the UK, there is a group that is called Age UK. And it is, if you read any of the studies that were on adult loneliness, a lot of that stuff came out of the UK. And a lot of actions that have been taken in the UK were either like phone call conversations to older adults who were facing loneliness and requested a phone call like a couple times a week. But they also have a program called Befriending that brings together volunteers with the aging population who are experiencing loneliness. And it could be anywhere from like an hour a week, and they do things together. It's anything from like visiting them and playing cards with them. But there was actually a story on the BBC about this 91-year-old woman named Jean and her friendship with a 29-year-old named Amy. And Amy had essentially gone overtime because the commitment's an hour a week, and Amy's spending like 4 hours a week at Jean's house, and they talk about relationships. Jean gives her advice. Jean actually coached her into breaking up with her not so great boyfriend. So it's just like a lovely thing that actually combats a real problem, which is the aging population's loneliness. But we're all a little lonely. And we've talked about this before, but volunteering actually gives you the benefits of friendship on steroids too. So it's kind of like friendship wrapped up in super friendship wrapped up in doing something good. It just really was a warm fuzzy. I'll link to that in the show notes.
This is the second great example you've had out of the UK about
I
community
love it.
building and putting people
Mm-hmm.
together. So they're onto something.
Yeah, there are programs in the UK, both like at sort of pivotal moments in your life, like when you choose to grow your family, maybe when you're at the end of your life and you don't have as many friends and family around. I think it's just really lovely to focus on that. What'd you bring, Rachel?
This is something we have talked about. It's the Three Cities Social Club. So I had a conversation with the founder who you've met, Draymond Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's doing something really cool that's just worth spotlighting, which is creating a membership-based club to help adults make friends, which I know is your jam completely.
Yeah.
And they have games and events and activities. And this idea is build community in your city, meet really great people, and they foster it. I think they have a handful of locations, but I just really love that somebody's taking the wheel and saying, we are going to help a disparate city of people find their like social home and develop relationships in a way that we took for granted when we were kids.
Yeah. So their first location was in River North. Their second location was in Bucktown, or why do I always forget the other one?
Wicker Park?
Move away from Chicago and you forget Wicker Park. But they opened their second location. I follow Draymond on, and we're connected on LinkedIn, and he had posted something recently where like he had a milestone and realized like everyone around him was a member of Three Cities. So I do think it is really interesting. I think like a friendship club is absolutely wonderful. And I think there's merit to joining a club. So if you're looking for friends, like join a club. There's a reason they exist. There is a reason that other adults are joining that club and they're waiting to be your friend too.
Yeah, Three City Social Club. Go make new friends.
Go make new friends. Anything else you want to say before we close this one down?
I am just happy to have a conversation. I think one of the joys of doing these capsule episodes is that I get catch up time with you. I always learn something, and then we can revisit past stories that hopefully have informed the people we are today, and we can cringe at together, but know that those moments formed who we are, and it was totally normal to be those people in our 20s.
Yeah, I should figure out who that guy was. Send him a note. I'm so sorry. I think his name was Sean.
What can you do for me?
Yeah, what can you do? Who are you going to introduce me to, Sean? Well, this has been another episode of The Connection Code, a podcast about friends, connections, work, and everything in between. It's a production by two friends, Rachel and Jeana Anderson Cohen. You can follow us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, just searching for our full names. We want to thank you for listening. And we also would love to thank Ben Cleaver for editing this podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.